Every 2 weeks, something significant shifts in the world of AI agents, the software that does not just answer questions, but actually goes out and does things on your behalf. Books meetings, files reports, monitors your systems, manages your workflows. And right now, in the first quarter of 2026, that world is moving faster than any boardroom briefing can keep up with. This show exists to change that. Welcome to episode 1 of the AGENTIC AI Biweekly Tracker, your concise, no jargon, every 14 days briefing on the developments that actually matter for your business. Today is March 31st, 2026, and we have a lot to cover. Here is what we are covering today and why each piece matters to you. First, OpenClaw, the AI agent platform that just broke every record in software history and whose governance just changed in a way that will affect every organization considering deploying it. Second, N8N, the automation engine quietly running inside thousands of companies, which just had both its best month and its worst security week simultaneously. Third, the full landscape of AI agent frameworks. Think of these as the different brands of engine you can choose when building an autonomous AI operation. Fourth, the protocol standards, the invisible rulebooks that allow agents from different systems to work together, the same way email standards allow Gmail to talk to Outlook. And fifth, our academic radar, 4 university research papers from the last 2 weeks that directly change how you should think about agent safety and reliability. Imagine a new restaurant opening in your city. Within 60 days, it has more 5-star reviews than McDonald's has collected globally in 50 years. That is the closest business analogy to what just happened on GitHub, the platform where engineers worldwide bookmark the software tools they trust and want to follow. On March 31st, 2026, OpenClaw has 335,000 of those bookmarks. The Linux operating system, which powers most of the internet and has been on this platform since 2011, took 15 years to reach 224,000. Meta's React, the technology behind the user interfaces of Facebook, Instagram, and thousands of business applications, spent a decade reaching 250,000. OpenClaw passed the Linux record on February 24th. It passed React on March 3rd. It did both in under 60 days. That is not a trend, that is a signal. When a piece of software becomes this important this fast, the question of who controls it stops being a technical question and becomes a business and legal one. Who owns the roadmap? Who can change the rules? Who decides what enterprises can and cannot do with it? On February 14th and 15th, those questions were answered. OpenClaw's creator, Peter Steinberger, announced he was joining OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT. One day later, it was announced that OpenClaw would move from being his personal project to an independent foundation, with OpenAI providing funding but holding no controlling vote. Think of it like the difference between a founder-owned private company and a nonprofit foundation. OpenAI can fund it but cannot dictate its direction. This is the same governance structure used by the Linux Foundation, which manages the software that runs most of the world's servers. It is a deliberate choice designed to make OpenClaw safe for every organization to adopt, without fear of one company changing the rules. Here is the problem with a tool that explodes in popularity overnight. It was designed for developers experimenting in their garage, not for banks, hospitals, and government agencies running mission-critical operations. OpenClaw is powerful, but out of the box, it has no privacy controls, no audit trail, no way to prove to your compliance team that your AI agent is not accidentally leaking sensitive data. NVIDIA saw this gap and moved to fill it. At their major annual conference on March 16th, they announced NemoClaw, a free open-source security layer that sits on top of OpenClaw. Think of it as a seatbelt and airbag system for an incredibly fast car. NemoClaw adds a privacy router, so sensitive information never leaves your secure environment. It adds one-click installation of AI models optimized for NVIDIA hardware. It adds a compliance checklist aligned to the OWASP AGENTIC security standards, the globally recognized benchmark for AI agent safety. And it adds enterprise-grade audit logging, so every action your agent takes is recorded. On March 23rd, OpenClaw shipped its biggest software update yet, and the response from the developer community was immediate, nearly 300 reactions on the announcement within a single day. For context, think of this like a major iPhone software update, except instead of affecting your phone, it affects every AI agent your organization runs. The headline improvements are significant. 45 new capabilities added, 82 problems fixed, 20 security vulnerabilities closed, 15 speed improvements, and 13 changes that will break your existing setup if you do not take action before updating. The most impactful changes for organizations. The platform now has a single official marketplace for agent skills called Claw Hub. Think of it as an app store for your AI agents, replacing the previous scattered approach. Your agents can now run continuously for up to 48 hours on a single task. Previously, they would time out after a much shorter window, meaning complex multi-step business tasks would fail halfway through. And 3 popular business research tools, Exa, Tavily, and Firecrawl, are now built in by default, so your agents can search the web for information without any additional setup. Now those 13 breaking changes. This is the part your IT team needs to hear before anyone touches the update button. When software has a breaking change, it means the update will not simply install and work. It will actively break something you already have running silently with no error message to guide you. The 2 most dangerous changes in this release are about naming and file locations. First, OpenClaw used to read its configuration from environment variables. Think of these as labeled switches that tell the software how to behave, with names starting with CLAWDBOT or MOLTBOT. Those names are gone. They now must start with OPE and CLAW. If you update without renaming them, your agents will start up with no configuration at all, behave unpredictably, and give you no indication why. Second, the folder where OpenClaw stores your agent's memory, settings, and installed skills has moved. The old location will simply be ignored. Any customization stored there will disappear from your agent's perspective until you migrate it. The action item is simple: rename your configuration before updating. Do not update first and fix later. N8N is a workflow automation platform. Think of it as a digital operations manager that connects your business tools and runs processes automatically, without anyone needing to write complex software. It is the engine behind automated invoice processing, customer onboarding flows, data synchronization between your CRM and your warehouse systems, and hundreds of other operational tasks that would otherwise require manual work or expensive custom development. March 2026 was N8N's busiest month ever. The team shipped 7 software updates in 24 days. The most significant new capabilities for enterprise teams. Your N8N instance can now pull passwords and access credentials directly from your company's secure vault systems, from providers like 1Password, HashiCorp, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud, rather than storing them inside N8N itself. This is a critical compliance improvement. Teams can now also see a visual side-by-side comparison of workflow changes before applying them, the same way you would review a document edit before accepting it. Here is the development that changes N8N's role in your organization more fundamentally than any other update this month. Until now, N8N was a tool that your operations team or your IT department configured. Humans built the workflows. Humans decided when they ran. Humans maintained them. With the beta release in version 2.14, that changes. Your AI agents running in OpenClaw or any other agent platform can now connect to N8N and build new automation workflows on your behalf in real time as part of completing a task. Imagine telling your AI agent, every time a new enterprise lead comes in, create a workflow that checks their company size, routes them to the right sales rep, and schedules a follow-up call. Instead of your IT team spending 2 days building that in N8N, your agent builds it in seconds, while it is already working on the task. N8N is no longer just a tool your team uses. It is becoming the engine room that your AI agents operate autonomously. Now the part of the N8N story that cannot wait. In March 2026, 3 serious security vulnerabilities were publicly disclosed in N8N, the kind that allow an attacker to walk into your system without a password or take complete control of your server remotely. 2 of these vulnerabilities rank at the very top of the global security severity scale. At the time these vulnerabilities were disclosed, approximately 24,700 N8N installations worldwide were directly accessible over the internet, meaning they had no firewall, no VPN, no additional protection between them and anyone with a laptop and the right exploit script. The situation was serious enough that the United States federal government issued a mandatory deadline of March 25th for all federal systems running N8N to apply the fix. The fix is available. It is free. It is version 2.13.3 or above. If your organization is running N8N and has not updated since before March 22nd, this is not a scheduled maintenance item. It is an emergency. Think of AI agent frameworks the way you think of car manufacturers. They all make vehicles. They all use the same roads, but they make different choices about the engine, the safety features, the dashboard, and who their ideal driver is. Some are built for speed and experimentation. Some are built for enterprise reliability and compliance. Some are built for specific industries. In March 2026, there are 8 major frameworks competing for the role of your organization's agent engine. And here is the single most important development this month. Every single one of them now supports MCP. the universal connection standard we will cover shortly. That convergence happened faster than even the most optimistic analyst predicted, and it means that the ecosystem is maturing from a collection of competing experiments into a functioning, interoperable industry. Crew AI is best understood as a crew management system for AI agents. You define the team, assign roles, and Crew AI coordinates who does what and in what order. Its latest release, version 1.12, introduces a think first, act second approach. Agents now form a complete plan before touching any tool or system. For organizations, this means fewer costly mistakes where an agent starts executing halfway through a task with an incomplete understanding of the goal, similar to the difference between a project manager who plans a full sprint before assigning tasks versus one who hands out work as they think of it. Crew AI has been bookmarked by nearly 46,000 engineers worldwide. LangGraph, on the other hand, is the choice for teams that need the most precise control over exactly how an agent thinks and branches. Think of it as the choice for complex decision trees with many conditional paths. Its latest update reduces the cost of running those decision trees by up to 40% through a technique that remembers and reuses previously computed reasoning steps, the same way a spreadsheet caches a formula result rather than recalculating it every time. Mastra is the framework for teams that need real-time cost control over their AI operations. Its newest version can automatically route tasks to a cheaper, faster AI model when the budget for that task is running low, the same way a logistics company automatically switches from overnight delivery to standard shipping when express capacity is full. It also added support for storing experimental results in MongoDB databases and enterprise-level access controls built on Okta, so different teams within your organization can each manage their own AI agents without stepping on each other's toes. Microsoft's Agent Framework hit release candidate this month, meaning it is one step from production-ready by merging two of Microsoft's existing AI development platforms into a single, unified system. For organizations already in the Microsoft ecosystem, this is significant. It means your AI agents will connect natively to Azure and Microsoft 365. Google's Agent Development Kit version 1.26 is the only framework this month that ships with native first-class support for both major agent communication standards simultaneously, making it the reference blueprint for the full protocol stack we are about to discuss. The OpenAI Agents SDK is the natural starting point for any team already using ChatGPT or OpenAI's API in their products. Its latest version now works with over 100 different AI model providers through a single interface, meaning you are not locked into OpenAI's models if a competitor releases something better or cheaper for a specific task. Among the specialist platforms, DeFi, Floas, LlamaIndex, and Haystack, the story of this quarter is simpler and equally important. All of them added the Universal Connection standard in Q1 2026. For non-technical stakeholders, here's what that means in practice. Any tool you have already built or are planning to build using any of these platforms can now connect to any other tool in the ecosystem through a common language. It is the equivalent of every device in your office finally using the same charging cable. The fragmentation that made enterprise agent deployment expensive and slow is ending. Before we go deeper into each protocol, let us establish what a protocol actually is in plain business terms. A protocol is an agreed rulebook. When you send an email from Gmail to an Outlook inbox, that works because both systems agreed to follow the same email protocol, the same set of rules about how messages are formatted, addressed, and delivered. Nobody had to negotiate it for every pair of email systems. The agentic AI world is building its own set of protocols right now, and in March 2026 we can clearly see a four-layer stack taking shape. The bottom layer handles how your agent connects to tools like your CRM, your database, your email system. The second layer handles how your agent talks to other agents across different platforms and organizations. The third layer handles how your agent communicates back to you and your team in real time through a user interface. The fourth layer handles how businesses discover and invoke agents as services, the same way a business today discovers and calls an API. MCP, the Model Context Protocol, is the universal plug socket of the agentic world. Just as USB-C became the standard charging and data port that works across laptops, phones, and tablets from any manufacturer, MCP is becoming the standard connection that allows any AI agent to connect to any tool or data source, regardless of who built either one. The numbers tell the adoption story. 97 million downloads of the connection software, and over 10,000 live systems already using it in production around the world. On March 9th, the organization behind MCP published its roadmap for 2026, built around 4 priorities. First, making the system capable of handling enterprise scale. Think thousands of agents running simultaneously across a global organization. Second, giving long-running tasks a proper life cycle, the ability to pause, retry, and expire gracefully, the same way an enterprise software job has a proper start, checkpoint, and end state. Third, creating a governance structure so that the protocol can evolve with community input rather than one company's decisions. Fourth, and most important for enterprise buyers, building in audit trails, single sign-on integration, and configuration portability. The three things your IT security team will ask for before signing any procurement. On March 12, 2026, something quietly significant happened that most business leaders have not yet registered. The agent-to-agent protocol, the rulebook that governs how AI agents from different companies and platforms talk to each other, reached its first stable, production-ready version. This is the moment that agent interoperability became real. To understand why this matters, consider how business software integrations work today. Your CRM talks to your email marketing platform because both agreed to follow a standard API format. Without that standard, every connection would require a custom bespoke integration costing tens of thousands of dollars. The agent-to-agent protocol does the same thing for agents. An agent running in Microsoft's system can now hand a task to an agent running in Google's system, without any custom plumbing because both speak the same rulebook. The protocol also moved from Google's direct control to the Linux Foundation, the same independent body that manages the Linux operating system, giving it the vendor-neutral governance that makes enterprises comfortable adopting it as infrastructure. Over 50 major technology partners are already on board. The two newer protocols in the stack address two problems that every organization deploying AI agents eventually hits. The first is the dashboard problem. Your AI agent is running in the background, processing, deciding, acting, but your team cannot see what it is doing in real time. They have to wait for a completed output rather than watching the work in progress, which makes oversight difficult and trust hard to build. AGENTIC, the Agent User Interaction Protocol, solves this by defining a standard way for agents to stream their activity, decisions, and status directly into whatever interface your team is using in real time. Think of it as a live project tracker that your agent updates itself as it works. The second is the business catalog problem. Today, if you want an AI agent to perform a specific business service, your team has to know it exists, know where it lives, and know how to connect to it. ACP, the Agent Communication Protocol, is building the equivalent of a business service directory for agents. A standard catalog that any enterprise system can query to find, verify, and invoke the right agent for the right task. Welcome to the Academic Radar. Each episode, we translate the most relevant university research from the last 2 weeks into practical business insight, because the papers being published right now are directly shaping the tools and standards you will be deploying in the next 6 to 18 months. Our first paper this episode comes from ICLR 2026, one of the most prestigious AI research conferences in the world. The paper is called Agent Tracer, and it answers a question that any manager running a multi-agent system will eventually face. When the pipeline fails, which agent broke it? The researchers built an automated tool that replays failed agent pipelines backwards, like reviewing security camera footage to find the original source of the failure. What they found should change how every engineering team debugs their agent systems. 62% of all failures in multi-agent pipelines were caused by a single agent. And in 78% of cases, the agent that appeared to fail was not the agent that caused the failure. The real culprit was upstream, earlier in the chain. The business lesson is direct. If your AI-powered process produces a wrong output, do not start debugging at the end. Start at the beginning. Our second paper tackles one of the most exciting and most frightening capabilities in agentic AI, the ability for agents to reorganize themselves. In most agent deployments today, you design the team structure once, who does what, who reports to whom, what tools each agent can use, and it stays fixed. This paper asks, what if agents could rewrite that structure on the fly based on what is actually working? The results are impressive from a performance standpoint. A 23% improvement in completing complex tasks, with agents self-reorganizing an average of 4 times per task. But the finding that matters most for anyone responsible for governance and risk is this. Without explicit, inviolable rules, what the researchers call constitutional constraints, self-modifying agents will drift. They will change their own behavior in ways that were never intended, pursuing task completion at the expense of safety boundaries. Think of it like giving a contractor permission to redesign their own work contract mid-project. Impressive flexibility, catastrophic without hard limits. The paper provides a working framework for building those limits in. The third paper addresses a risk that almost no organization currently deploying AI agents is actively managing, and that is deeply concerning given the scale of adoption we are seeing. When multiple AI agents work together on a task, one gathering information, one analyzing it, one generating a response, they share context with each other. That context sharing is what makes them powerful, but it is also what makes them leak. Researchers demonstrated that sensitive information fed to an early agent in a pipeline, a patient's medical record, a customer's financial data, a confidential contract term, consistently appeared in the outputs of later agents that had no business seeing it. Not because of a hack, not because of a misconfiguration, simply because of how information flows through connected AI systems by default. The good news, the paper also demonstrates that adding a privacy firewall between agents, a technique that limits what each agent is allowed to pass forward, reduces that leakage by 91% at a cost of only 14% more processing time. For any organization handling regulated data, healthcare, finance, legal, government, this paper is not optional reading. It is a risk disclosure. The fourth paper is a challenge directed at the entire AI industry, and it is one that procurement teams and technology evaluators should pay close attention to. When a vendor tells you their AI agent achieves 90% accuracy on industry benchmarks, what does that actually mean? This paper argues it means very little because the benchmarks being used today test agents in ideal, isolated conditions that do not reflect how agents fail in real business environments. The researchers identify 4 scenarios that current benchmarks completely ignore. First, what happens when multiple agents compete for the same limited resource, an API, a database, a rate-limited tool at the same time? Second, what happens when 2 agents in the same system receive contradictory instructions? Third, how does an agent's reasoning quality degrade over a long, complex task? And fourth, how quickly does the system recover when one agent in the pipeline fails? These are not edge cases. These are the scenarios your agents will face every week in production. The paper's call to action for the industry is a new generation of adversarial, multi-agent benchmarks that test AI systems the way they will actually be used. Two major industry developments this week extend well beyond framework updates. The first is from Okta, one of the world's leading identity and access management companies, the system many enterprises use to control who gets into what application. On March 19th, Okta announced a new product called Okta for AI Agents, available from April 30th. The concept is straightforward and overdue. Treat every AI agent the same way you treat every employee. Give it a verified identity, define exactly what it is allowed to access, log every action it takes, and when you decommission it, when the project ends or the agent is replaced, revoke all its access instantly. Today, most AI agents running in enterprise environments have no formal identity at all. They run with the credentials of whoever set them up, often with far broader access than they need and with no audit trail. Okta for AI agents closes that gap. For any organization that has a CISO, a compliance team, or a regulatory obligation, this product is directly relevant to your AI deployment strategy. The second major industry move comes from Microsoft, and it will directly affect any organization running automation workflows today. On March 18th, Microsoft published its Power Platform 2026 Release Wave 1, its formal product roadmap for the first half of the year. The headline change is this: Microsoft's automation platform, Power Automate, which currently allows business teams to build automated workflows connecting their Microsoft 365 applications, is being upgraded to invoke AI agents mid-workflow. That means a workflow that today triggers a human task can now trigger an autonomous agent instead. Dynamics 365 is introducing autonomous sales agents that book meetings, draft proposals, and follow up with prospects without waiting for a human to act. And Copilot Studio, previously positioned as a chatbot builder, is being repositioned as a full agent orchestration platform. For organizations evaluating workflow automation tools, this changes the competitive picture significantly. Microsoft is bringing the power of autonomous agents into a platform that hundreds of millions of enterprise users are already running, without requiring any new vendor relationships, new contracts, or new training. Step back from all the version numbers, the CVEs, and the protocol acronyms, and here's what March 2026 is actually telling us in business terms. 3 things converged simultaneously this month, and together they mark a line in the sand. Before this month, agentic AI was a promising but fragmented developer experiment. After this month, it is enterprise infrastructure. The first convergence, the protocols crystallized. The rulebooks that allow agents to talk to tools, to each other, and to your team's interfaces are now stable, open standards managed by neutral foundations, not owned by any one company. The second, convergence, the framework's unified. Every major platform for building agents now speaks the same connection language. The choice of framework is now about fit and preference, not about whether it will work with the rest of your stack. The third, convergence, the enterprise layer arrived. Okta brought identity management. NVIDIA brought compliance and security guardrails. Microsoft brought agent capability into the automation platform used by 300 million enterprise users. These are not experiments from a research lab. These are shipping products from the world's largest enterprise technology vendors. Before we close, here's your practical action list. 6 things your technology team needs to do this week, ranked by urgency. Number 1, if your organization runs N8N for any automation and has not updated it since before March 22nd, update it today, not this sprint. Today, there is an active, publicly disclosed vulnerability that allows remote takeover of your server without a password. Number 2, if you have OpenClaw running anywhere that is accessible from the internet, without a login screen or a VPN in front of it, either add one immediately or take it offline until you can. Number 3, review the list of skills and plugins installed in your OpenClaw instance. With ClawHub now being the primary distribution channel, this is the right moment to verify that everything installed came from a verified, trusted publisher. Number 4, if you have any developer or operations team managing OpenClaw, make sure they rename all configuration settings from the old CLAWDBOT and MOLTBOT naming format to the new OPE and CLAW format before the next update. Number 5, for any AI agent that has the ability to write to, modify, or delete data in an external system, add a human approval step before it acts. The 48-hour runtime extension makes this more important, not less. Number 6, enable audit logging in your N8N instance if it is not already active. You need a record of what your automations are doing. Here is your watch list for the next 2 weeks. 5 developments we are tracking closely that will shape episode 2 on April 13th. First, the OpenClaw Foundation is expected to publish its formal governance charter in early April, the legal document that defines the board, the decision-making rules, and the boundary of OpenAI's role. This document matters for any enterprise procurement team evaluating OpenClaw as long-term infrastructure. Second, multiple industry sources are pointing toward a formal joint roadmap announcement between Microsoft Teams and OpenClaw, which, if confirmed, would put autonomous agent capabilities in front of 300 million enterprise Teams users overnight. Third, N8N is hosting a public roadmap session where the team will detail the future of its agent execution capabilities, key intelligence for any organization building automation workflows. Fourth, CrewAI's version 1.13 stable release is expected, bringing enterprise-grade access controls to a framework that nearly 46,000 developers have already adopted. Fifth, the MCP Enterprise Working Group is holding its first formal meeting, with a deliverable of audit event schemas and authentication profile specifications within 60 days, the final pieces needed before MCP can clear most enterprise security reviews. That is episode 1. If there is one sentence to carry out of this episode, it is this: Agentic AI stopped being a developer experiment this month and became enterprise infrastructure. The protocols that make it safe to deploy are now stable. The tools that make it compliant are now shipping. The platforms your organization already uses are now running agents natively. The only remaining question is whether your organization is going to shape how that infrastructure gets deployed in your environment, or whether it is going to arrive on its own, through individual teams and shadow it before your governance is ready for it. All sources, version numbers, paper references, and links are in the description below. Episode 2 drops on April 13th, 2026. Until then, keep building, keep tracking, and make sure you know what your agents are doing.